Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling disrespected, wondering if you should have handled it differently? It could be a passive-aggressive remark in front of others, or a joke that embarrassed and devalued you. In those moments, it's natural to question how you should respond, to protect your dignity and command genuine respect, even from those who habitually undermine others. You're not alone. We've all faced situations like these, and the good news is that you have far more control than you might think over how they unfold. This video will explore powerful psychological techniques and timeless wisdom from Stoic philosophy to help you handle disrespect with composure and strength. These strategies won't just help you navigate difficult encounters gracefully, they'll also earn you the respect you deserve. Respect isn't just given, it's cultivated through how you respond. Stay with me as we uncover the smartest ways to turn uncomfortable moments into opportunities for growth. Start by understanding why you sometimes find yourself in situations where people seem to treat you with less respect. In many cases, it's not because they dislike you or hold personal grudges. More often than not, it stems from a kind of opportunism that some individuals display. These people attempt to elevate themselves by diminishing others, believing that making you appear weak or uncomfortable will make them stand out more. This behavior isn't limited to workplaces. It exists in social circles and even within families. Stoic philosophy, with its timeless wisdom, teaches us that respect is not something you demand or impose on others. Rather, it is a reflection of how you carry yourself. It's about how you establish and uphold boundaries for your self-worth. As Marcus Aurelius once stated, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In moments like these, your calmness and confidence become your greatest weapons. But it's not just about handling difficult situations. It's about fostering an environment where respect toward you becomes a natural response. What does this mean? It means ensuring that no one uses you as a stepping stone to elevate their image. You must demonstrate that you understand your worth and will not be shaken by cheap remarks or undermining actions. That's why learning to apply Stoic principles in daily life is crucial. These small yet powerful strategies will help you stand firm in any situation. And if you ever feel disrespected or undervalued, remember that respect is not earned through aggressive retaliation, but through steady, composed self-control. Now, let's explore practical solutions that will show you how to handle disrespect with grace and strength. First tip: first impressions matter. The way you are perceived begins with your initial interactions, and interestingly, it often has less to do with what you say and more with how you present yourself. Picture yourself at a key networking event. Someone walks into the room, scans the crowd, and heads toward you. They extend a hand for a greeting, but instead of standing up, you remain seated, glance at their hand briefly, and then shake it. Without realizing it, you have sent a subtle message, one that suggests either a lack of confidence or a lack of enthusiasm for the interaction. Small actions like these have a significant impact on how others view you. Stoics understand this deeply. They recognize that simple gestures, like standing up and maintaining eye contact during a greeting, are not just about etiquette, but about exuding confidence and self-awareness. When you rise to shake someone's hand, you communicate an unspoken message of equality, readiness, and mutual respect. This aligns with a fundamental Stoic principle. The way you present yourself reflects your values and shapes how others perceive you. Let me share a story. I once attended a professional seminar where networking was the primary goal. Among the attendees, One individual stood out. Whether he was greeting a senior executive or thanking a waiter for refilling his coffee, he always stood up, made eye contact, and was fully engaged in the interaction. He wasn't overly flamboyant or forced, yet his presence commanded respect. People didn't admire him simply for what he said, but for how he conducted himself, with confidence and sincerity. In contrast, I noticed another attendee who remained seated during every introduction. He wasn't intentionally dismissive, it was simply his habit. However, this seemingly small behavior created an invisible barrier, causing others to subconsciously perceive him as less serious, even though he was just as capable as anyone else in the room. This highlights a fundamental truth. Standing up is not just an act of politeness. It's an acknowledgement of others' value and an affirmation of your own. The lesson is clear. Yes, standing up to greet someone is a sign of respect. But more than that, it is a declaration of how you perceive yourself and those around you. This is where Stoicism becomes practical. Stoics don't focus on what is beyond their control. They maximize what they can influence. In this case, it's your behavior, your presentation, and how you convey your value through small but meaningful actions. If you want to apply this lesson in your own life, start with your daily interactions. Whether you meet someone in the office, at a cafe, or even during a virtual meeting, make sure to be fully present. Stand up when greeting someone, maintain eye contact, and use body language that exudes confidence. These simple gestures won't just help you gain respect. They will reinforce the intrinsic value you hold within yourself. This is Stoic philosophy in action. Remember, first impressions are not just about appearances. They reveal your confidence, self-respect, and the regard you have for others. This is at the core of what Stoicism teaches us: to live with intention, to pay attention to the small details, and to let our actions define who we are. So, the next time you meet someone, take action. Look them in the eye and let your actions speak volumes beyond words. The second tip: if someone interrupts you in a public setting while you're speaking, the best thing you can do is maintain direct eye contact with a steady and confident gaze. Being interrupted in the middle of a conversation, especially in a public place, can be incredibly frustrating. You're in the middle of making a point, and suddenly, someone cuts in, completely derailing your train of thought. It's natural to feel annoyed, even irritated. However, in that moment, reacting with anger or snapping back usually only escalates the situation and makes you seem less composed. So, what should you do instead? This is where Stoic philosophy provides a powerful tool to handle the moment with calm and authority. Stoicism teaches us that real strength doesn't come from controlling others, but from mastering ourselves. In this case, a firm, unwavering look can communicate a stronger message than any words. Instead of responding impulsively, pause. Hold your gaze on the person who interrupted you, calm, focused, and steady. Let the silence speak for itself. This nonverbal cue sends a clear message. Their behavior is inappropriate, and you won't tolerate being disregarded. This not only demonstrates self-assurance, but also prompts the other person to reflect on their actions. I remember an evening at a family dinner when I was sharing an amusing story, only to be interrupted by a relative who suddenly began telling their anecdote. Initially, I felt caught off guard and slightly embarrassed. But instead of jumping in to reclaim my turn, I simply stopped talking, made eye contact with them, and let a few seconds of silence settle over the table. That brief pause carried more weight than any verbal protest. The person quickly realized their mistake, corrected themselves, and allowed me to continue. The rest of the evening proceeded smoothly, and I regained control of the conversation without unnecessary conflict. This strategy is especially effective in group settings or public discussions. By remaining calm and composed, you naturally command attention. Your presence becomes more authoritative without needing to raise your voice or argue to reclaim your space in the conversation. Stoicism teaches us not to let the actions of others dictate our emotions. Instead, we use tools like body language and self-possession to manage situations while maintaining our dignity. However, eye contact is only the first step. Once the interruption has been addressed firmly but politely, continue with your point. A simple phrase like, "Let me pick up where I left off," reasserts your right to speak while maintaining respect for everyone involved. Remember, the goal isn't to embarrass the other person, but to set clear expectations that mutual respect in communication is non-negotiable. What's powerful about this approach is that it requires no aggression or intimidation, just a calm demeanor, a composed presence, and actions that speak louder than words. Avoid showing frustration, and let your response convey confidence. When people see you handle interruptions with poise and intention, they won't just respect you more. They'll also become more mindful of their behavior. Stoicism reminds us that true strength lies in maintaining self-control, even in challenging moments. So, the next time someone interrupts you, don't lose your composure. Hold your ground, maintain eye contact, and show them that your voice is worth hearing. This isn't just about earning respect. It's about demonstrating self-respect in a way that is both meaningful and lasting. The third tip: when someone tries to provoke or anger you, you can use a highly effective psychological strategy. Have you ever been in a situation where someone deliberately tried to provoke or hurt you, and instead of reacting impulsively, you handled it with grace? Imagine you're at a family gathering, and someone makes a sharp remark about your career setbacks in front of everyone. It's the kind of comment that cuts deep, resurfacing a struggle you've worked hard to overcome. Suddenly, all eyes are on you, waiting to see how you will react. At that moment, instead of becoming defensive or trying to explain yourself, you pause for a moment, stay calm, and say, "Oh, does anyone know a good bakery nearby? I was thinking of getting something for our next get-together." That simple question instantly shifts the atmosphere in the room. The person trying to provoke you is left bewildered, unsure how to proceed, and the conversation quickly moves on to a neutral topic. Not only have you prevented the situation from escalating, but you have also turned an uncomfortable moment into an advantage for yourself. This tactic of introducing an unrelated question isn't just a clever strategy. It's a way to reclaim control over your emotions and the situation. By disrupting the provocation, you redirect attention away from negative energy and deny the instigator the satisfaction of seeing you upset. This is a perfect example of practicing Stoic principles, focusing on what you can control and refusing to let external circumstances dictate your peace of mind. As Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The brilliance of this technique lies in its ability to diffuse negativity without confrontation. A well-timed, unrelated question disrupts the provocateur's train of thought, making it nearly impossible for them to continue their attempt to unsettle you. At the same time, it allows you to maintain your composure while exuding confidence and self-control. This is a powerful way to earn respect in any social setting. For this approach to be effective, it is essential to keep your tone and demeanor natural. If it appears forced or calculated, it may come across as insincere. Choose a simple, neutral question or comment that feels natural at the moment. something about a nearby restaurant, a recent event, or even a casual observation. The goal is not to awkwardly avoid the situation, but to subtly and smoothly steer the conversation in a different direction. This technique is not only useful in the moment, but also builds long-term resilience and inner strength. By refusing to be drawn into emotional conflicts, you demonstrate to both yourself and others that you are in control. Those around you will notice this calmness and respect you for it. More importantly, using this strategy is a step toward cultivating the core Stoic value of focusing on what you can control. You cannot dictate how others behave, but you can decide how you respond. By responding in this manner, you reinforce your sense of self-worth and send a clear message that you will not allow others to undermine your peace or dignity. The next time you find yourself in a situation where someone's words are designed to provoke or hurt you, remember this approach. Ask a simple, unrelated question and watch the dynamic shift. Not only will you diffuse tension, but you will also feel empowered by your ability to rise above it. As Marcus Aurelius wisely reminded us, true strength comes from maintaining inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. By mastering this, you will not only handle challenges with grace, but also elevate the respect others have for you in any situation. The fourth technique. When someone tries to humiliate you with a joke in a group setting, use this strategy. If someone in your group deliberately attempts to embarrass you with a joke, your first instinct might be to feel ashamed or irritated. However, remember that your response will determine the entire dynamic of the situation. This is where Stoic philosophy becomes an incredibly powerful tool to help you maintain composure and control. I recall a casual gathering with some old friends when one of them decided to make me the target of a joke by recounting an embarrassing story from our school days. Initially, I felt my face heat up, and my immediate reaction was to fire back. But instead of letting emotions take over, I remembered a core Stoic principle. What does not harm your character is not worth your concern. I smiled, acted as if I hadn't heard the story, and calmly asked my friend to repeat it. I maintained a composed and slightly curious demeanor. Here's the interesting part. When the person had to retell the joke, its impact diminished significantly. The group that had been laughing moments before started to feel awkward, realizing that forcing someone to repeat a joke at another's expense wasn't as amusing the second time around. The loud laughter faded, and the storyteller began to hesitate, realizing that their attempt at humiliation had completely backfired. The key takeaway here is that asking someone to repeat their joke doesn't just weaken its effect, it also signals that you are unfazed. This approach allows you to remain composed while subtly highlighting the inappropriateness of the other person's behavior. More importantly, it shifts the power dynamic in your favor without resorting to retaliation or compromising your dignity. By taking this route, you send a strong message. You possess inner strength and will not allow minor provocations to dictate your emotions. This is one of the fundamental lessons of Stoic philosophy, maintaining calm and control in the face of life's smaller challenges. So how can you apply this principle effectively? First, remember that you do not need to react immediately to every action or word. Pause, take a breath, and think. Second, use silence as a powerful tool. Silence isn't passive. It creates space for others to recognize their mistakes. Finally, when you do respond, do so with confidence and calmness. A simple request for them to repeat what they said, speaking in a neutral tone, can have a much greater impact than arguing or retaliating. Stoicism teaches us that our reactions to uncomfortable situations reflect our inner character and values. Each time you remain composed and refuse to be dragged into negativity, you not only gain the respect of others, but also reinforce your self-worth. So the next time someone tries to mock you in front of others, remember, you have full control over how the story ends. And with calmness and clarity, you will always emerge victorious. The fifth and final strategy: walk away. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you felt disregarded, disrespected, or even completely ignored? It's not a pleasant feeling, but sometimes the best way to preserve your self-respect is to simply walk away. Stoic philosophy teaches us that respect is not something you can demand. It is something you cultivate by understanding your worth. And sometimes, walking away is not a sign of defeat, but rather a demonstration of strength and self-respect. Let me share with you a story about my friend, Emily. Emily was an exceptionally talented creative professional. One day, she joined a major project at her company, excited about the opportunity to contribute. However, instead of being recognized for her relentless efforts, she was constantly undermined by her manager in front of the entire team. They would interrupt her in meetings, dismiss her ideas outright, and make her feel as though her contributions were insignificant. At first, Emily worked even harder, believing that she needed to prove herself. But after months of frustration, she realized that she did not need to beg for respect from people unwilling to give it. Then came a pivotal moment during an important meeting. Once again, her ideas were brushed aside without reason. But this time, Emily did something different. She calmly closed her laptop, stood up, and stated that she would invest her energy where it was valued. She walked out of the meeting, leaving her colleagues stunned. That same day, she submitted her resignation, not out of anger, but as an act of self-preservation. A few months later, Emily joined another company in a leadership role, where not only was she respected, but her talents were also celebrated. Emily's story isn't just about leaving, it's about choosing where to invest your energy. Walking away is not a display of weakness. On the contrary, it proves that you recognize your worth and refuse to stay in an environment that diminishes it. Stoic philosophy teaches us that the only thing we truly control is how we respond to situations. While you cannot force others to respect you, you can decide not to remain in places where respect is absent. The most powerful aspect of walking away isn't about making a dramatic exit or proving a point. It's about a quiet but firm decision. It's about telling yourself, I deserve better than this. Marcus Aurelius wisely reminds us, you have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Staying in a disrespectful environment is a choice to let others define your worth. So how do you know when it's time to walk away? When you recognize that all your efforts to build respect are met with indifference. When you feel like you are constantly fighting to be acknowledged. Don't wait until your self-esteem is eroded. Listen to yourself, and if necessary, choose to leave. Because being respected in your absence is far better than being diminished in your presence. Walking away is not surrender, it's setting a boundary. Stoic philosophy not only teaches us how to control our emotions, but also how to protect our sense of value. The next time you find yourself in a situation where you are being devalued, remember that sometimes the most respectful action you can take is to leave the table where your worth is not recognized. Respect is not begged for. It is built by the way you choose to treat yourself. Respect isn't something you can command. It's a result of how you live your life every day. As the Stoics taught, confidence comes from self-control, integrity is built from consistent action, and composure is true power. When you act in a way that is consistent with your values, you not only earn respect from others, but you also cultivate respect for yourself. Apply these principles today, and you'll see how the world responds to your change. Respect is not about demanding recognition. It's about embodying the values that inspire it. Through Stoicism, I've learned that confidence doesn't come from arrogance, but from knowing who I am and standing by my principles. Integrity is not just about honesty, but about consistency, doing what's right even when no one is watching. Self-control is the foundation of true strength, and mastering my emotions has allowed me to navigate challenges with clarity. I've realized that the more I align my actions with my values, the more naturally respect follows. People admire those who lead themselves before trying to lead others. The quiet strength of a disciplined mind speaks louder than any words. Every time I choose patience over impulse, I gain power over myself. Every time I follow through on my commitments, I build credibility. In the end, respect isn't given. It's earned through the way we live.